Wine News with Angelo Castro III and William Theo.
Good evening. The Department of Health is now considering filing charges against Sanofi Pasteur following the French pharmaceutical company's refusal to give a full refund on used Dengvaxia vaccines. Here's why from Victor Cosare.
Sanofi Pasteur will not return the 1.8 billion peso government payment for the Dengvaxia vaccines that have already been used in the first round of the anti-dengue program. This despite the initial report of the UP-PGH panel of experts of possible vaccine failure on the 3 children who died due to dengue even after they completely received the 3 doses of the anti-dengue vaccines. The French pharmaceutical company insists that the vaccines had been effective and that there is no concrete basis that links Dengvaxia to the children's death.
We stand, as previously mentioned, behind the efficacy and safety of the product, and that is why we are not reimbursing the already used doses. In addition, we do believe that doing so will create confusion into the mind of the population of the parents that have kids that have been immunized completely or partially, and will give the wrong impression of inefficacy of the product. So we decline this request, Your Honor.
This prompts the Department of Health to consider filing charges against Sanofi.
Given this information, we will look at our other available options.
However, the Public Attorney's Office says Sanofi Pasteur must indeed pay damages to the victims as the company concealed the real effect of the vaccine.
Kailangan ng kaso para magbayad sila dahil kino-contest nila hindi related sa Dengvaxia ang pagkamatay. Pero maliwanag pa sa sikat ng araw, ang tanging kemikal na pumasok sa katawan ng mga bata, Dengvaxia, yellow fever at dengue fever virus. Hindi na kailangan kagatin ng lamok, nandyan na, nasa hiringgilya na.
On the other hand, Senate Committee on Health and Demography Chairman Senator J.V. Ejercito says if Sanofi Pasteur is resolute in not making a refund, it should consider allotting indemnification fund for the children who were given Dengvaxia shots.
Kung sakali na mayroong pong magkasakit o mayroong mamatay o na mapapatunayan na dahil sa Dengvaxia, dapat po, as part of their responsibility, ay magkaroon po ng pondo na itutulong po nila kung sakasakali.
Meanwhile, Oriental Mindoro Representative Doy Liachon questions the seeming intervention of DOH Undersecretary Kenneth Hartigan Go in fast-tracking the release of license for Dengvaxia vaccines. Go, however, was not in the hearing to refute Liachon's allegation.
If a protocol needs to be made and technically and ethically reviewed, I think you all need to focus and fast-track this work. Ang topic ay dengue vaccine. Otherwise, we will get all into trouble or create preventable problems. Kahit grade 1 dito, malinaw na nananakot si Yusek Cardigan ko na gawin nyo na ng mabilisan yung rekomendasyon sa FEC.
Victor Cosare, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
Meanwhile, the Public Attorney's Office has filed today the first Dengvaxia-related complaint at the Quezon City Regional Trial Court. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Public Attorney's Office or PAO filed a civil case in the Quezon City Regional Trial Court today in relation to the death of Angelica Pestilos. This is the first Dengvaxia-related case filed by PAO. The death of the 10-year-old Angelica has been linked to the controversial anti-dengue vaccine. PAO forensic expert Dr. Erwin Erfe says based on the autopsy they conducted on Angelica's body, she received vaccination despite having lupus and weak immune system.
Dapat siya ay hindi nabakunahan. Dapat po siya ay excluded at hindi kasama sa mga dapat bakunahan. Dahil po itong Dengvaxia, live virus, buhay po na virus ito na pinagsamang yellow fever virus at saka po dengue virus. No? Sa tingin po namin, base sa aming analysis, nagkasakit po si Angelica 1 week after na siya ay bakunahan.
PAO Chief Attorney Persida Acosta meanwhile says there are strong grounds for charging the case against Board of Directors of Suwilig Pharma Corporation, the distributor of Dengvaxia in the Philippines, and against Sanofi Pasteur, the manufacturer of the dengue vaccine. The complaint also includes former Health Secretary Dr. Janet Garin, Undersecretary Kenneth Hartigan-Go, and other government officials connected to the procurement and distribution of Dengvaxia. PAO reiterates it will not stop in conducting autopsy on the bodies of children whose deaths are linked to Dengvaxia, more so with their parents who call on PAO and seek explanation on their children's demise.
Hindi po pwedeng ilibing ang kasamaan. Dapat buksan at bigyan ng katarungan. Tama? Nananawagan po ako kay Secretary Duque. Tutuhanin mo, magbigay ka po ng libreng gamot, medisina, mga vitamins sa mga bata, sa mga center.
The Malacanang meanwhile supports PAO's measures.
We're not telling anyone to stop what they're doing. We're just saying that we're flatly rejecting the call of the physicians to put an end to the exhumation because the position of the government is we're in search of the truth. We will resort to autopsy when it's needed.
Today, the Public Attorney's Office was filled with parents and children who received Dengvaxia. They say they voluntarily went to PAO to request the exhumation of the bodies of their children, to have this undergo autopsy, to shed light whether Dengvaxia was the cause of their children's deaths.
Nag-aalala doon sa pagkaturok na yun dahil na mga napabalitaan yung maraming namamatay na. Siyempre, bilang lolo, nag-aalala kami. Kala namin mabuti naman yung itinurok, kaya kami pumayag maturukan.
The Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption or VACC is also set to file a complaint before the Office of the President against the Department of Health or DOH officials involved in the process of the procurement of the vaccine and of the implementation of the vaccination program. The VACC has also sent a letter to President Rodrigo Duterte to request the declaration of a state of national emergency to resolve the issue on the vaccination on over 830,000 Filipino children nationwide. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Evacuees in Albay have proven staying in the evacuation areas can be productive. Meanwhile, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, is now studying the possibility of lowering the alert level of Mount Mayon. Mai Bermudez will tell us why.
If in the past weeks, Mayon volcano has been erupting every 4 hours, it is noticeable that its activity slowed down in the recent days. But residents should not be complacent because according to PHIVOLCS, even if the emission of volcanic materials decrease, it is still under a critical condition. The agency, however, is now considering downgrading the alert level to 3 in the whole province of Albay.
Ang level fountaining right now is lower, mas mababa kumpara sa previous. So kaya nagre-range na lang sa may 200, may 5. Yung as column na as generated plume, bihira na nga lumagpas ng 1,000.
Deposits such as pyroclastic materials and lava have so far an equivalent of 53.5 million cubic meters. If such eruptions of the volcano continue to slow down, the situation may last from 2 to 3 months. Meanwhile, the Department of Labor and Employment Region 5 has released the payouts for workers under their Tulong Pangkabuhayan para sa mga Displaced Workers or TUPAD program. Under the said program, evacuees who will clean the classrooms and plant seedlings in the evacuation centers where they are staying will earn 290 pesos per day. Lola Mariquita, who was the first to receive the 1,450 peso payout in the first 5 days of her work in Cotmon National High School, has been beaming with joy.
Mag-ulam o kahit gamot, kung ano pang kailangan.
Para bang sumasahod sila on a weekly basis. So yun yung ginawa natin.
DOLE has allotted 30 million pesos for the program for 10,000 families. Evacuees will receive payouts every 5 days as an alternative source of livelihood. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Legazpi, Albay.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines Task Force SAGIP heads the psychosocial interventions for the affected residents in Albay. Mai Bermudez is at Legazpi City in Albay to tell us why live. Yes, Mai, good evening.
Yes, Will, good evening. The task force Sagip of AFP heads to Anuling Elementary School in Kamalig, Albay to give some form of entertainment to evacuees amid the activities of Mount Mayon. Dancing, games, film showing, and free haircuts were done for the evacuees. Happiness reflects in the faces of these children who have been in the school for 3 weeks now.
Very stressful talaga yung buhay dito.
There are also medical missions that are set to be done in evacuation centers.
Kailangan maging busy sila, kailangan may mga activity sila. Kung ano man yung may tutulong natin para maibsan yung kahirapan na nararamdaman ng mga kababayan natin dito, ginagawa natin yan.
For Nati Manrique, who has been in the evacuation center for 3 weeks now, the psychosocial activities have eased the difficulties they are facing in evacuation centers.
Malaking tulong po yun kasi hindi po kami makauwi sa amin.
Yes, Will, as of 9 a.m. today, there are still more than 19,000 families or more than 75,000 individuals who are staying in evacuation centers, even after the announcement of Office of Civil Defense Region 5 that those who are staying beyond the extended 8-kilometer danger zone can go back to their homes. And those were the live updates here in Legazpi, Albay. Will?
Yes, thank you very much, Mai Bermudez, live from Legazpi City, Albay. And some residents beyond the extended 9-kilometer danger zone of Mount Mayon are still apprehensive despite being home. Here's why from Mon Hokson.
Segunda's family is not yet unpacking their clothes and other belongings. Although they are now back to their home, they still feel uneasy, especially when they hear and see Mount Mayon erupting. Segunda, however, admits that before, even without the announcement to the camp, she was already planning to leave the evacuation center with her 4 children.
Dalawang beses ako bumalik. Tapos sabi ko, nakita ko nga yung apoy. Abang may nakaanong puti, pero kita mo pa rin ang apoy. Lalo na kahapon, sir. Sobra talaga sa'yo.
Sonia's family is also ready to leave anytime. They, too, have their belongings already packed in case the need to evacuate ensues.
Para nakanda naman pong sakaling magpumutok.
More than 90 families have already gone back to their homes here in Barangay Bagong Abre in Legazpi City. All of them live beyond the extended 8-kilometer danger zone from Mount Mayon. According to the City Welfare and Development Center, the decampment helps to decongest the evacuation centers.
Yung in terms of food, relief, and other needs, nabawasan.
Albay Governor Al Francis Bichara says there is really no need for those living beyond the 8-kilometer danger zone to be evacuated.
Initiative lang ito ng provincial government. Mas sure lang ang safety nila.
As of now, even if some families were sent home, they cannot say that their lives are back to normal. They admit they will just feel at ease when Mount Mayon stops erupting. Mon Hokson, UNTV, News and Rescue, Legazpi City, Albay.
The fee for bar examination takers is set to increase by 250 pesos from the previous 3,500 pesos this year. The increase will be used for the payment for the venue, manpower, and other logistical expenses for the exam, which is scheduled in November in the University of Santo Tomas, or UST. In 2017, the number of bar exam takers was at 6,750. This number is expected to increase this year. The National Housing Authority is challenged by the non-payment of monthly dues by Kadamay residents occupying government housing units. Here's why from Nel Marie Bohok.
There are around 68,000 families residing in government housing projects in Northville and Southville resettlement sites in Bulacan, Laguna, Caloocan, and Pampanga. Most of them were relocated informal settlers from Metro Manila. However, they complain of lack of livelihood opportunities in the area, the reason why they couldn't pay their monthly dues.
Marami po mga substandard, yung mga karsada, madaling nasira.
Tanggalin ang 6% interest at penalty sa arrears.
Based on data from NHA, only around 2,000 families or 2% of the dwellers paid their amortization dues, while 66% fails to pay for almost 5 years now. Occupants need to pay 200 pesos monthly in the first 5 years to complete the 140,000 pesos full unit amount. However, according to NHA, many are taking advantage of the government program, such as reselling or renting scheme that some Kadamay members are doing in Pandi, Bulacan.
Meron na po kaming recommendation, parte doon sa pagpapalis doon sa sa hanay ng Kadamay, pagkatapos naming may bigay sa kanila ang lahat ng listahan.
We cleared our side that wala pa kaming inaward sa mga members ng Kadamay. And it means wala pa rin silang pwedeng ibenta sa mga bahay na inokupan nila.
Meanwhile, some senators considers to grant amnesty to housing occupants.
Siguro magkaroon siguro ng amnesty or restructuring na appeal to the NHA and the financing agencies to reconsider kasi kawawa naman to eh.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
There is an imminent oil price increase this week. Oil industry players forecast a 50 to 70 centavo increase in the price per liter of gasoline. There may be a price hike of 30 to 40 centavos on every liter of diesel, while the price of kerosene may increase by 50 to 60 centavos. This is the 6th week in a row of price hikes by oil companies. As Wish 107.5 hits its 2 million subscribers mark, the FM station reaches another milestone. Leslie Longboan will tell us why.
On Saturday, the National Customers' Choice Awards 2017-2018 recognized Wish FM as the most outstanding broadcasting and media production company. Wish FM, on its third year, has been the talk of the town for its FM booth on wheels, the Wish Bus, which runs not only in Metro Manila but also in various provinces and will soon be replicated in the US and in Europe. Its Wish-exclusive videos have also been the craze of netizens with reactors across the globe. And Wish also takes pride of launching the biggest online singing competition in the Philippines, Wishcovery.
I think we're on top of the game because our bosses' heads are in the game. So, ganun yung edge natin. We're always the first sa mga innovation and I think yun yung edge ng Wish FM. Another ace that we got is our genuine concern and initiative to bring Filipino music across the world and to provide the coolest musical experience.
Meanwhile, the award-giving body also recognized the Y News anchor William Theo, who was hailed the News and Public Service Broadcasting Achiever. The program he hosts, Spotlight, was also named the most outstanding bio-documentary show.
Swerte tayong lahat na nasa network natin because Kuya Dan Rason, he embodies yung Mr. Public Service. So sa tingin ko, dahil meron akong role model, meron akong mentor, naging madali na rin to sort of just try at least to, in our own little ways, to follow in his footsteps, in his advocacies.
The National Customers' Choice Awards aims to give recognition to individuals, companies, brands, services, and products that excel in various fields. Leslie Longboan, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Wish FM has started granting 2 million worth of wishes. Robbie De Guzman explains why.
The 2 million times 2 celebration of Wish 107.5 last Friday was a wish come true to certified wishers. Apart from enjoyment from free musical entertainment from OPM artists and bands, the station also gave inspiration as it started granting 2 million pesos worth of wishes to thank their 2 million YouTube subscribers. Among the beneficiaries is Charmaine Villamater from Mandaluyong, who wished for a wheelchair for her father-in-law, who can hardly walk for 5 years now.
para sa father-in-law ko, malaking tulong na yun sa kanya. Kasi yung makakalabas pa lang siya ng bahay na makita mong nag-enjoy, masaya na siya doon. Doon pa lang parang 100% na nakakatuwa, makita mo siyang happy.
Meanwhile, many street children will be delighted by the catering services package wished by Mary Joy Galias. Patients at the National Center for Mental Health are sure to also be thrilled, as Jericho Jerome Alteres wished for the same.
Maraming batang nakakaawa na hindi malaking tulong yung binigay ng Wish kasi last December hindi namin siya nagawa dahil family problems, sa social din. Kaya parang mabigat sa kalooban ko kasi walang nagawa. Ngayon, okay na ako kasi wish granted talaga.
Yung pag may mga relative pa yung pasyente, may dalang spaghetti, may dalang masarap na pagkakain. Pero yung ibang mga wala ng relatives, talagang ulila na minsan naiingit sila. Gulat na gulat ako and then tuwang-tuwa and then thankful kay God kasi nag-grant yung wish ko. So, sobrang saya. Nakakatulong ako personally.
For this, wishers are so thankful to the FM station with a heart.
Patuloy pong mag-inspire ng ibang tao through gantong wish po kasi nakakapagbago po siya ng pagtingin sa isang stasyon na may tinutulungan.
Last Friday, 22 wishes have been granted by the station. Wish granting will continue in 2 months. Meanwhile, OPM artists also congratulated Wish 1075 for this milestone.
Wish, sobrang congrats sa inyo. You guys deserve everything. All the success that you guys have been getting, you totally deserve it. And
I'm just so happy that Wish FM is already 2 million subscribers and I'm really, really proud.
Yeah, thank you and congratulations so much. More power to you guys.
And I can't wait for the 3 million point, maybe sometime in a few months.
Because of the parabolic increase in subscribers. Good job.
It was on January 23 when Wish 1075, the #1 FM YouTube channel in the country, reached its 2 million YouTube subscribers. At present, the channel already has over 850 million views after 3.5 years since its launch. Robbie de Guzman, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Next on Y News. First-time overseas Filipino workers bound for Kuwait are now stranded as suspension of deployment remains in effect. And more than 700 members of the PNP Special Action Force who battled in Marawi City get special promotion. Y News will be right back. The Department of Labor and Employment says the suspension on the deployment of overseas Filipino workers in Kuwait remains effective. Joan Nanong will tell us why.
First-time overseas Filipino workers bound for Kuwait remain stranded. This is due to the existing suspension ordered by the Labor Department on the deployment of OFWs to the said country. Labor Secretary Sylvester Bello III explains that the labor attaché of the Philippines in Kuwait has not yet finished the report and has not yet completed the data regarding the status of around 250,000 OFWs there. The Labor Department stresses that though they understand the desire of our countrymen to work and earn more in Kuwait, they insist that the government still prioritizes the safety and welfare of our people.
We cannot gamble on the lives and safety of our workers. Ayaw po namin malaman na meron na naman tayong ginaasa o nilapastangan na kababayan natin. We have to be very careful.
As of now, the negotiation between the Kuwait Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Philippine Embassy in Kuwait is ongoing in order to come up with the conditions in favor of the Philippine government to assure that the cases of maltreatment and abuse among OFWs will be stopped. Dole clarifies why skilled workers are also included in the suspension of deployment.
Hindi naman pinipili yung minamaltrato. Hindi lang naman issue of maltreatment. Meron ding, halimbawa, hindi binabayaran ng tamang sahod. Meron ding complaint na they are required to work beyond the hours as stated in their contracts.
Based on the estimates of the Labor Department, there are around 3,000 work applications of new OFWs daily. Meanwhile, another rapid reaction team from DOLE, tasked to visit other polo offices within the countries in Middle East, is set to leave this week to identify if there are other cases of abuse and maltreatment of OFWs ongoing. This will become part of the government's assessment on whether or not it is necessary to also impose a temporary ban of Filipino workers in other Middle Eastern countries. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Department of Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano believes that Singapore's concept of smart city is worth emulating by the Philippines. Here's why from Annie Mancilla.
Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano says Singapore and the Philippines have forged a closer relationship as both have successfully taken chairmanship in the ASEAN Summit. In his visit to the country yesterday, Cayetano expressed that Singapore's smart city concept is worth emulating.
Mahal na mahal nila ang ating trabaho, ang ating pagkatao. And then we have a lot of agreements, work that we're doing with them, whether commercial, sa business. But I go back to people kasi iba yung may personal relationship ang Singaporeans at Filipino.
Singapore's smart city solution aims to merge technology into every aspect of life. It includes intensifying the information and communications technology, urban density, and energy sustainability. Meanwhile, the Secretary takes pride of the warm welcome of the Singapore government to Filipino workers. This, he says, is what the Philippine government wants to take advantage to in strengthening its relationship with Singapore.
Isa sa magpapalapit pa sa atin this year, yung kanilang chairmanship ng ASEAN, kung saan ang isang focus nila ay smart cities na kailangan ng ating bansa.
To date, around 180,000 Filipinos are working and living in Singapore. Annie Mancilla, UNTV News and Rescue, Singapore.
Malacanang has made certain that there is no new reclamation activities by China in the West Philippine Sea. Here's why from Rosalie Cos.
The government continuously relies on good faith of China not to construct new artificial island in the South China Sea.
Malacanang reiterates that it is not during the Duterte administration that China's reclamation in the West Philippine Sea started. This after reports that China has almost finished its militarization in the disputed sea.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says these structures have been almost completed even during the term of the former administration, which was not able to do something to stop the reclamation.
If the Aquino administration was not able to do anything about these artificial islands, what do they want us to do? We cannot declare war. Not only is it illegal, but it is also contrary, but it's also because it's impossible for us to declare war at this point.
Secretary Roque adds that the government now depends on China's promise not to do new reclamation in the disputed waters. Nevertheless, the government continues to monitor the area.
Again, just to be sure about this, based on the briefings, walang bago under
No new reclamation, no new artificial islands.
The government is also not worried on the possibility that China may be able to control the West Philippine Sea using its structures because there is no incident yet that China has already violated the freedom of navigation. Roque adds that the administration respects Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Carpio's claim that relying on the good faith of China is like relying on the good faith of a thief.
This is a democracy, he's entitled to his opinion, but I would expect that next time we would read his opinion in the form of a court decision because that's the function of the judicial branch of government. Or as I said, he could run for an elective legislative position if he wants to make policy for government.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV files a resolution which seeks to investigate the bank accounts of President Rodrigo Duterte and his daughter Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio. Malacanang, however, belittles the allegations of the senator. Nel Marie Buhok will tell us why.
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV challenged President Rodrigo Duterte to answer his allegation of hidden wealth. Based on his resolution filed in the Senate, President Duterte and daughter Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte allegedly failed to disclose their joint bank account amounting to more than 100 million pesos. Trillanes emphasized that the Senate President, who thinks too frightened by this turn of events, has no power to intervene in the issue. The Senate President, however, refuted the allegation.
Kung nanginginig ang boses ko ngayon, pwede akong nininervyos ako, pero hindi yata. So, anyway, tama naman yung reaction niya because he's also obsessed with the issue. Malay mo, pag hindi pag-usapan yung issue, manginig din yung kamay niya.
For Senator Panfilo Lacson, it's not that easy to respond to the call for an investigation.
Maski anong amount pa, kung walang predicate crime, anong imbestigahan mo? Yun ang malinaw sa Anti-Money Laundering Act, di ba?
According to Senator Francis Escudero, in case the resolution is referred to his committee, it will be hard to them to do the probe on the allegation of hidden wealth.
Malabong gumulong yun hanggat hindi nare-repeal yung bank secrecy law. Kasi yun na nga yung nakikita namin problema ngayon sa kaso o sa hearing na ginagawa namin kay Chairman Bautista.
Meanwhile, Malacanang and the presidential daughter belittled the allegation of the senator.
Trillanes is confused. And I think he's going crazy, and I think I'm starting to believe the rumors about his getting hooked on something because there is no other explanation for his obsession with President Duterte. He is lying.
Lumang tugtugin, lumang balita para ng sirang plaka. Wala pong tinatago. Ang tanong, anong dokumentong hawak ni Senator Trillanes? Wala naman siyang authenticated document. Sinabi na nga ng AMLAC, hindi galing sa kanilang dokumento at mali ang datos na hawak-hawak ni Senator Trillanes.
Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Malacanang wants to have the past administration's procurement of frigates investigated. Here's why from Rosalie Cos.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque affirms that the government wants to look into the Philippine Navy's frigate acquisition during the term of former President Benigno Aquino III. This stems from the disclosure of Magdalo Party's Representative Gary Alejano that Hyundai Heavy Industries or HHI has been blacklisted in South Korea after it was implicated in a bribery scandal in 2013. HHI was chosen bidder for the said frigate acquisition project.
Sila po nagpabid. Silang namili kung sino mga nanalo dyan sa bid. Kung totoo na blacklisted yung binigyan nila ng kontrata, dapat managot yung mga opisyales ng nakalipas na administrasyon at sabihin sa atin bakit naging ganun na kanilang desisyon.
Roque asserts that the present administration is not liable for granting the notice of award to HHI for the said project.
So, malinaw po na hindi po pwedeng magkaroon ng pananagutan ng administrasyon nito dahil yung conduct ng bidding, yung pagpili ng nanalo, lahat po yan ginawa nung nakalipas ng administrasyon na ngayon, sa suhestyon ni Congressman Alejano, bubusisiin na natin.
The frigate procurement deal has gone controversial after the name of Special Assistant to the President Bongo was implicated by an allegation that he intervened in the selection of the subcontractors for the combat management system of the said sea vessel. But based on Malacanang's investigation on the matter, it found that the allegation was baseless and untrue. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Meanwhile, over 700 members of the Philippine National Police Special Action Force who joined the operations against the terrorists in Marawi City last year get special promotion. Here's why from Aiko Miguel.
PNP Chief Police Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa could not hold his tears when he saw a video of Special Action Force or SAF troopers battling in Marawi City. General de la Rosa says the 5-month battle of the SAF members against the terrorists who attempted to conquer the city was not a piece of cake.
Tumatayo yung balahibo ko.
Kumatay yung balahibo ko because I can feel for them. Yung mga naghirap talaga doon sa front line. Pakita mo yung mga dugo na dumanak, yung mga pagsabog left and right, yung putukan. Well, kahit gaano ka tapang, gaano ka katibay. Pag ganong sitwasyon, wala kang ibang mapupuntahan kundi si Lord.
With this, the PNP chief did not hesitate to give special promotion to the 745 Special Action Force members who fought in Marawi City. Even Philippine Army Commanding General Lieutenant General Rolando Joselito Bautista salutes the gallantry of the SAF members.
I have seen how these men and women work side by side with the members of the armed forces of the Philippines to crush and defeat the lawless elements who spread terror in the city of Marawi.
The PNP chief takes pride of the expertise of the SAF members when it comes to urban warfare that led to the successful mission of liberating Marawi City from the hands of ISIS-inspired terrorists. General De La Rosa also recommends the promotion of third-level officers, which is under the jurisdiction of President Rodrigo Duterte himself and not of the PNP chiefs.
They did their share doon sa Marawi, lalong-lalo na sila yung mga commanders. They keep on inspiring their people, their men to fight, and indeed, very commendable, very laudable yung kanilang ginawa doon.
Meanwhile, 8 other policemen were promoted after fighting against 200 members of the New People's Army or NPA who made an attack on Binwangan Municipal Station in Misamis Oriental in December 2017. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
In today's Senate hearing, Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon recommended to insert the anti-political dynasty provision in the BBL. Meanwhile, former members of the 1987 Constitutional Convention agree that it is better to enact the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law first before pushing for federalism. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
The members of the 1987 Constitutional Convention believe that the Congress should approve first the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law before prioritizing the shift to federalism. According to former Supreme Court Chief Justice Hilario Davide Jr., the BBL will be a template for the planned federalism.
That we can make the Bangsamoro government as a model, as an experiment for a federal system by making it hypothetically as a state in a federal system of government.
I strongly feel that charter change and a shift to a federal structure should not be made now but postponed at a later time.
The former members of the CONCON also agree that almost all the provisions of the BBL are in accordance to the Constitution. They also believe that this will resolve historical injustices and armed conflict in Mindanao. Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon has proposed to insert the anti-political dynasty provision in the BBL.
But the policy of anti-dynasty must be put across.
Former CJ Davide agrees with the proposal. According to the senator, they have already done this when they passed the Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act in the last Congress. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Those are the reasons behind the news. February 5, 2018, I am William Theo.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching
Y News.